A billionaire CEO wakes up at 4:30 a.m. to work on vacation so he can spend time with his family later. Is that what work-life balance is supposed to look like? Well, today I want to unpack this CNBC article and highlight what I think is crazy about it, but also what I think is genius about it. And more importantly for you, at the end, I'm going to share with you the 4 key components of building what I call a dream week so you can love your work and your family life. All right, so here's the CNBC Make It article. 52-year-old billionaire CEO. I've woken up at 4:30 a.m. to work on vacation so I can spend the days with family. Okay? They get a lot of, can we just pause and say CNBC gets a lot of information inside their titles. It's absolutely crazy. It's so impressive. I know exactly what this article is about. I don't even have to read it. And I've had a ton of articles on CNBC, and the titles they pick are absolutely amazing. Okay, so we're talking about Todd Graves, who's the co-founder and CEO of Raising Cane's, which is a chicken fingers restaurant. I don't have a Raising Cane's around me here in Tampa. I don't know if you guys do, but I'm a fan of chicken fingers. It's hard to say no. So let's say a couple of things here. He's a billionaire. Personally, the restaurant's going to do $5 billion in sales this year. So Homeboy's figured it out. And he says he starts work at 4:30 a.m. while traveling so he can join his family at the beach by the time they wake up at 11 a.m., he says. Graves defines work-life balance as scheduling family time into his calendar to avoid getting lost while growing his company. He could ease his workload if he was happy or comfortable with his level of success, he adds, but he's unlikely to stop trying to grow his restaurant chain anytime soon. He says, I'm as busy as anybody I know. I travel as much as anybody I know, but I can work my schedule where I can make most of the things I need to be at with kids, family, or important friends. And he started Raising Cane's 30 years ago. He says running a reportedly billion-dollar company while spending time with his wife and 2 children is a matter of, quote, extreme logistics. He says setting family time in stone in his calendar and making a conscious effort to be present during those times. He does that even if he's tired. He says at times his wife has even brought their 2 kids to his office for dinner and playtime so he could see them before their bedtimes. He said there's always something to work on and you'll just constantly do it. So it's being very diligent on planning. You might be tired, but you're not going to be dragging around. You're going to be just as enthusiastic for those special times with your family. He says he uses time boxing, which is kind of blocking out a lot of times in your schedules for different tasks and so on. And then they interview a couple other people. Okay, so this is fascinating. I have a lot of thoughts on this. So let's start with what I agree with. First of all, let's just put aside the fact that he's a billionaire and has a multi-billion-dollar company. That's impressive, and I slow clap anybody that's built a big company. It is not easy to do. I'm not a billionaire. I don't have a $1 billion a year company. That's a whole nother level. So slow clap, but I'm really not worried or impressed with that. This isn't about the amount of money. This is about, replace billionaire with whatever your ideal income is for your business or your goals. I'm really interested in the life we're living and how it integrates with our business. So here's what I agree with from what he said in the article. Again, I don't know Todd, but just what I'm sharing, or he shared in the article. Number 1, he schedules family time into his calendar. It's amazing to me how people assume things that are important to them will just magically happen in their week. For example, people assume, well, if I want to be healthy, eating healthy will magically happen in my week. No, it won't. It's not convenient. You know what's convenient? Raising Cane's, chicken fingers. That was kind of meta. But that's more convenient than eating healthy. People assume, yeah, I'm all about exercise. Exercise will happen. I'll get it done. No, it won't. You won't exercise unless you put it in your calendar. And the same is true for family time. People assume, well, of course, I have a family. I'm going to spend time with my family. That's just going to happen naturally. No, it won't. It might have happened naturally in the early years. It might have happened naturally when you worked a 9 to 5, but when you become an entrepreneur and you become self-employed and you're working for yourself and you're building a company, something happens where you feel a very real pressure is not made up, that it's up to you. Because functionally, when you step out from the safety, and I'll use air quotes, the safety of a paycheck from somebody else, because we all know you can be let go like that. So you're not really secure. I've lost multiple jobs. The only reason I started my company in the Great Recession, 2009 for me, was because I lost 2 jobs during that 10-month span in 2 different states. It was crazy. So there's no security in a paycheck, but you feel for the moment while you're working there secure. And you get the illusion of safety, right? So you leave that the moment you become self-employed because now you know it's up to you. And the beauty of that is it creates a healthy pressure, or it can create a healthy pressure to go build something. My back was to the wall with a mortgage and a wife and a baby and no money. So I had to build something even though I didn't know what I was building. And I found a way, right? That can be healthy pressure. But then it can move to unhealthy pressure very quickly because you never untense. Like your shoulders are still tense from those early days of building that you think you still need to push and press. And we'll get into that in a second. To the point where now what was a given when you had a paycheck and a job, which is, yeah, I come home from my job, I clock out and I spend time with my family. Because that's what you want to do naturally because you're a person that loves people. And I think you're a good human being. And if you have a spouse or children, like, you love them. At your best, you love them. You want to spend time with them. But that gets crowded out when you have a business. And it's funny how many people, and entrepreneurs in particular, think just like, oh, yeah, I'll get to the gym. No, you won't. Yeah, I'll spend time with my family. No, you won't, because you will subtly make an agreement that this is really important, babe, that I take this phone call. It's really important that I check my email. It's really important that I keep track of how my Black Friday sale was doing. It's really important that I finish this blog post. It's really important that it's hard to argue with that. And if you've been the spouse on the other side of that, or the child, or the friend on the other side of that, where the person that you love, that you want to spend time with, has said things like, I just got to do this, it's really important. It's really hard to argue because it probably is really important. And there is an unending amount of things you could do or should do for your business. So what I agree with him 100% is that you've got to schedule family time into his calendar. He says, I can work my schedule or I can make most of the things I need to be at with kids, family, or important friends. And that's the other thing I agree with is he is in control of his schedule. If you are the CEO of your company, and if you started your company, my friend, you are, unless you've gotten so big that you've hired somebody else to run it, you are the boss. You're the big girl, big boy boss. And so you get to decide what your schedule is. It's a lie to think that other people tell you when you must work and what you must do. You're in charge. And so if you have a family or a life you want to live outside of your work, even if you're single, it is your responsibility and your privilege to be able to create your own schedule and then work the important things into your schedule. What are the important things for you? Is it your wife or husband? Is it your children? Is it spending time with your parents? Is it spending time with your friends? All right? So I agree with him. He can work his schedule and tweak it so that he can make the most of the things that are important to him and be with the people that are important to him. So he schedules family time in his calendar. He's in charge of his schedule. And then I agree with this last statement. He says, there's always something to work on and you'll just constantly do it. So it's being very diligent on planning. So what he is saying is there's a never-ending sea of things to do. And if you're not careful, you'll just constantly do them. So the secret to him is to be very diligent on planning. And I 100% agree. And he knows this. He's been in business for 30 years. He's got $1 billion company. It's not gone away. It's not like he's just done, So it is your responsibility to acknowledge there's an unending sea of things I could do, and I have to be diligent, just like I'm diligent at creating a promotional calendar, building a product, looking at my sales analytics, making good offers, thinking about how I can get more leads. Like we're diligent about every part of our business. We need to be diligent about our schedules and our family time and just plan it. You just put it in a calendar, right? So I agree with all 3 of those things. Here's what I disagree with here, okay? And this is what's crazy to me. Don't work on vacation. Otherwise, it's no longer a vacation. You're just working somewhere prettier. Okay? Like, I just don't even understand this. So we're going to pause and we're going to rant for a second. I don't know if you've heard of people use this phrase, I'm living the laptop lifestyle. AKA, I'm a self-employed person and I can work off my laptop anywhere, and they take pictures of themselves with their laptop at the beach, by the pool, on a cruise ship, in the mountains, whatever, at a really nice restaurant. Wherever your thing is, they're boasting about the fact that they get to work on vacation wherever they want. It's the laptop lifestyle. I'm never not working, and I'm kind of always on vacation. No, you're neither. You're not really working. You're not really on vacation. You've just melded two things that aren't meant to be melded. This is absolutely insanity and a complete lie. So the human brain was meant to have moments of work and rest. It's the way God designed our bodies. It's the way the human race in every culture since the dawn of humanity has operated. Humans know they need to work. And friend, we are living in the easiest time to be alive. If you're complaining, if you ever find yourself complaining like I do about how hard things are, how tired you are, just stop and remember the fact that we do not live, most of us, in an agricultural, agrarian society where we have to physically labor to make our own food, make our own clothes, build our own shelter, right? We aren't even in an industrial age anymore. We have to go to a factory, most of us, and work on an assembly line. If you're a digital entrepreneur or an entrepreneur of any kind, you get to wake up and you get to just type on a little computer, talk to a camera, into a microphone. Money comes in magically. You could do it in your jammas. Like, your life is not hard. You have air conditioning, you have electricity, you have internet, you have food that's cheap and accessible everywhere. Oh my gosh, right? So I complain a lot, and then I realize, dude, this is the easiest time in the history of humanity to be alive and working. But back then, AKA before the last 30, 40, 50 years, work was really hard and backbreaking and tiring. But we knew as humans we had to work. And then we knew, because of the physical exhaustion of our work, that we needed to rest. And thousands of years ago, God said this so clearly in the book of Genesis in the Bible: 6 days you shall work, 1 day you shall rest. And there's a couple of reasons why. But even if you're not a religious or faith-based person, so we can get rid of sort of the cool theological reasons why God wanted us to rest, which, hint, it's all about trusting him to be the provider, not us. If you don't believe any of that stuff, you want to take all that out, we can all agree that practically speaking, you need at least a day of rest if you're working 6 days of backbreaking labor. The problem is we've gotten so removed from that physical labor world that we actually don't feel as tired physically as we were, and so we don't think we need to rest. And also, we now live in the most marketed to, most wealthy, season, moment, chapter in the history of the human race, that we are more filled with greed and discontentment about what we don't have than ever before, because we can see everything that everyone has, and there's so much wealth. Even if you don't feel wealthy, you are more wealthy than your parents' generation, your grandparents' generation, your great-grandparents' generation. You have more wealth and more power and more flexibility than anyone ever before, and yet it's still not enough because we're being marketed to better than ever before. So it's partially not your fault. It's a human condition that's just being exposed because of really good marketing and pervasive marketing. So now we're not physically tired because our work isn't physically exhausting, and we have more desires than we've ever had before. So we want more money, more everything. And the amount of money that we have won't be enough for the desires in our heart. So we keep working all the time to have this really ridiculous lifestyle that nobody in the planet Earth needs, and it won't satisfy you. And friend, I don't want to be that guy, but let me be your big brother, uncle, little brother, son, whatever I am to you, and tell you I have made tens of millions of dollars, and it don't make you happy. I was happier when I was maybe for the first time making six figures. And I've had this conversation with Shay. Like, why was I happier 10, 12, 13 years ago than I am now? I make so much money now. Life is so easy now. And so I have weird guilt and like, I should be so happy, but I'm not. Like, it's because the money doesn't make you happy, friend. It doesn't. It doesn't. There's like a threshold. There's a lot of studies on what that threshold is, and they all disagree. But there is a threshold somewhere. You get past it, and it doesn't make you happier. So let me just tell you that. So getting back to the laptop lifestyle, this is all the context for why this thing is so pervasive. The human brain isn't meant to be working and not working at the same time. It's just not designed to do that. It doesn't matter how progressive we think we are, or how smart. You ain't going to out-progress your genetics. Your brain was designed to work and rest. You try to put them together, it's super confusing. You're not going to do great work if you're working on vacation because your brain's like, are we resting? I'm at the beach. I'm on a cruise ship. Can I go get a cocktail or an ice cream at the soft serve? What are we doing here? So you're not going to do great work, and then you're certainly not getting rest. You're going to come back from vacation exhausted because you didn't actually rest. Your brain was active and thinking. And the work we do, not to make fun of our work, because I know it's not physically laborious, it is mentally taxing. Like, there is more exhaustion from the mental creativity and problem solving that we do. And it's sort of a phantom exhaustion. We don't see it. We're like, I shouldn't be tired, but we are. So your vacation is going to be ruined by being even on the laptop and thinking and looking at sales data and writing a blog post. So we're already living blurred lines. My phone's over here. I can't even reach it. But like, our phones take our office with us everywhere we go. So it's already invading our rest time and our personal time. Do not make it harder on yourself by living the laptop lifestyle. That is the worst thing you could do. That's not a badge of honor. That's a badge of failure. If you're living the laptop lifestyle, you've missed it. The whole point of having a business, especially a digital business, is that you can make money. You can compress your work week, you can have efficiency and automation, and you can have ownership over your time so that when you're at work, you're at work. Like right now, I'm at work. What am I doing? I am delivering content for you. I'm teaching, I'm educating, I'm empowering. And when I'm done, I'm going to go home and I'm going to be done. I'm not going to be on my laptop. When I take Christmas break off in a couple of weeks, I'm not going to be on my laptop. I'm not going to be working like while kids are opening presents. I woke up at 3 a.m. on Christmas morning to get a bit of work done before the kids came down to open presents. Laptop lifestyle. I'm going to go to Colorado and we'll see some snow, but I'll have my laptop. And no, why would I do that? I've worked now so I can rest later. And by resting fully, I can then come back to work fully engaged. So don't blur the two. So I totally disagree with the idea of working on your beach vacation. I get it. And I can applaud him for having the discipline to get up at 4:30 so he can get some work done before his family gets up at 11, which, by the way, if you're getting up at 11, that's awesome. That's goals. I still got kids that go to school, so I don't get to wake up at 11, but I'm going to get there one day. But again, that's not the goal. Don't blur those lines. Design your business to allow you to take time off and be truly off. So here's the thing. You have ways to do this. You can hire a team to do things for you when you take a break. Oh, well, Graham, I don't have the money to hire a team. Okay, you can use AI and automation and tools like Kajabi to run a more evergreen automated version of your business so you can take time off. Well, my business doesn't work that way. I've got launches and it's set up this way. Okay, then here's what you can do. This is a crazy idea. You can just shut your business off for a couple weeks and not make money for a few weeks because you already made some money before that. A few years ago, I took the family to Provence, the south of France, and we lived there for a month. It was one of my goals, one of my bucket list dreams is to go live in another country for a month. And we did it. And it was fun and chaotic, but we got great photos, made great memories, and I'm so proud that we did it. When we were living there, we bounced around to a couple different Airbnbs. We lived in one Airbnb for 16 days in this one little town, and I got to meet like a little village. I got to meet some of the other people in the village. And I also got to meet the owner of our Airbnb. She came into town for a day, checking on something at the Airbnb, and I got to talk with her. She was an artist. She had all these sculptures in the house and all this artwork. And so I got to know her a little bit. And I said, man, so you're an art, you do this full time? She said, yes. She's like, I'll make art and then I'll go to Paris or I'll go to other cities and I'll sell the art for a season. I'll do art shows. And then that season kind of ends and I'll take 4 to 6 months off. I was like, oh, wow, you can take that much time off? She's like, well, yeah, I made a bunch of money in the first half of the year. I can take the second half off. And it blew my mind to hear someone who even thinks like that. I was like, friend, like I'm an American. We don't think like that. Oh, I made enough money here, so now I don't have to work over here. We assume if I made a lot of money here, I might as well keep working so I make double what I made. And it was just beautiful to hear her and others. She's just one example of saying like, yeah, I work 5 to 7 months and then I shut down. We went to one of our favorite restaurants. We were in the Bordeaux region for a while. And we found a restaurant that actually made food that wasn't just French food. And no offense if you're French, but if you eat French food every day for 30 days, man, they only make like 7 dishes. And I was tired of duck confit and steak frite. Like I needed something. I was like, do you have Mexican food here? Do you have Italian food? We found a restaurant. It was French, but the restaurant owners had really creative other cultural elements weaved into classic French dishes. So they had like Thai elements into a classic French dish as like a twist on French. And I was telling them, because they came over to our table, I was like, thank you for being creative and having something that's not just classic French. I just needed something fresh. And they're like, oh yeah, we like to run the restaurant for the 9 months out of the year where most of the time there's people here, but there's about 3 months where there's no tourists and it really is slow. So we're like, why keep the restaurant open when it's slow? Let's just shut it down, travel the world, have fun, but try dishes all over the world to get inspiration for our recipes when we come back. And I was like, wait a second, you just shut down your business for 3 months and travel and get ideas and then come back and run it for the next 9 months? Like, yeah. And I was like, what a concept. What a freaking concept. You have that option, friend. You have that option. So if you can't hire a team and you can't run an evergreen style business, which you should, you got to get off that launch model as fast as possible. But if you can't, that's fine. Make money for 6 to 10 months and then shut it down. You've made money, live a reasonable lifestyle so you have savings, and then enjoy a couple months off and then ramp it back up. Plenty of people do that. So I disagree with the working on vacation thing. That doesn't count. It's not real. You're not really on vacation. You're not really working. And then this is the last thing I disagree with him on completely. You don't need to work more to make more. Right? That's a very lazy approach to running a business. Here's what he says. The article says that he could ease his workload if he was happy or comfortable with his level of success. But he's unlikely to stop trying to grow his restaurant chain. Okay, look at this line one more time. Can you see what's wrong about this sentence? His words, he could ease his workload if he was happy or comfortable with his level of success, but he's unlikely to stop trying to grow his restaurant chain. This is a false dilemma. He's created a fake choiceless choice. I got to choose this or this. I would love to ease my workload, one choice. But since I'm not happy or comfortable with the level of success and I want my restaurant chain to grow, I got to choose that. It's either ease my workload or grow my business. As if you have to choose one. This makes no sense to me. And it's amazing how many successful, air quote, big time business owners fall into this false dilemma all the time. You can work less and have a goal or a dream or a vision for your business. In his case, Raising Cane's, the restaurant, to grow. It's just a choice. You have to just be more strategic. So I'm not saying the only way to live this restful, balanced life is to just want less and to just cap your business growth. That's not what I'm saying, although I do think wanting less is a simple hack to being happier, but you don't have to. I'm saying there's a more creative solution, and it's different for every business. I don't know what Todd Graves from Raising Cane's needs. He would know better than me. But if I were coaching him, and this might sound bold, I really think I could coach him, even though he's a billionaire and I'm a millionaire. I could coach him by asking good questions to get him to come up with more creative solutions to, okay, so Todd, you have this vision, you're doing $5 billion a year in your business and you're not happy or comfortable with that success. I have no problem with that. I think a true entrepreneur wants to keep growing things. We're in the business of how big can we grow this thing? And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if you have the ability to create wealth and grow something, you have, in a way, a responsibility to create wealth and grow it. Because you know what you can do with that wealth? You can hire people and you can give it away to great causes, right? So I'm going to try to make as much money as I can in my life because I feel like I can do the most good with it. Most people don't have the privilege. I have to build wealth. So I'm going to build as much as I can and give it away. Great vision, Todd. Love it. But that is a complete false narrative or limiting belief that you have to choose between that beautiful vision of growing your restaurant chain or easing your workload. I would ask him questions like, if you had a heart attack today, this is a Tim Ferriss question that I stole and I use it all the time. If you had a heart attack today and the doctor said, Todd, you can't keep working as hard as you're working. And you say, well, doc, I want to keep working and growing. He says, okay, you're going to be fine. I'm going to let you work, but you can only work 2 hours a day. What would you do as CEO of Raising Cane's, a $5 billion a year restaurant? What would you do? Doctor's orders, you cannot work more than 2 hours a day or you're going to have another heart attack. What would you do? 5 days a week. So you got 10 hours. Go. I would make him figure that out because when you give the brain a challenge or a problem to solve, it will find a solution. And Todd will know the solution, but he's living in a false narrative, a false dilemma, a limiting belief that he has to choose between easing his workload or growing his business. And it's a choiceless choice. You don't have to make that choice. You can have both. So those are the things I disagree with. All right. I want to wrap this up and I want to leave you with something super helpful. So there's something that I call a dream week. Okay. And this is something that I've designed for myself. This is something I try to help my clients design. I believe building the business of your dreams starts with building and designing the week of your dreams, because really the idea of like, well, if I build my business to a certain amount of money, I'll be happy. That's false. You won't. You're just going to keep working and you're going to want to make more. You're going to move the goal post further down the field. And then you'll get into this trap of, well, I've made all this money, but it requires so much work from me. Let's avoid all that together. Let's just design the week of your dreams now. Make your business fit within that week. And ironically, as you'll see in a second, designing your dream week is actually going to propel your business forward. You'll actually use it as a catalyst to make more money. But then once you know you're living your dream week every week, well, then now you won't burn out. You can stay in the business long enough and you're going to get momentum. So there's 4 components to a dream week, right? Here we go. You need recharge time. This is personal time. Whatever fuels you up. Is it going for a walk? Is it exercising? Is it reading a book? Is it learning? Is it being outside? Is it playing pickleball? Like, what is the thing that recharges you? I like to work out. I like to go to Orange Theory Fitness. I like to take long walks by the bay. I like to read books. Like, I sit and read. I like to learn. All those things are recharge. I like to go to the movies. All those things are recharge time for me. Okay? You need time in your week, schedule time for you time. This is put your oxygen mask on first before assisting someone else. This fuels you. And you're like, I feel fueled up and filled up. And I feel like I'm getting to have what I want. You need that. You deserve that. So you need recharge time. It will recharge you. You need relationships time, right? Relationship time. So if you have a family, if you have a spouse, kids, just like Todd of Raising Cane's does, you need to schedule time in your week for your family. If you don't have a nuclear family of a spouse or kids and you're single, well, you've got friends. You've got coworkers that you love or team members that you love, or you have your parents, or you're like, whoever you do life with. You don't want to be that entrepreneur that's like, yeah, well, let's get together. We'll get together. And then you never do. For the people, now I'm not talking about like acquaintances. I'm talking about like your true relationships, your deep relationships. That needs to be baked into your schedule. So I'm home every evening after 4:30. I'm off every weekend. I'm home every Friday is a date day with Shay. We spend the whole day together. I don't even work on Thursdays either. So I'm around the house, but I'm usually just doing like errands and stuff. But I have scheduled time for my family, right? You need scheduled time for your relationships. You got recharge time, relationship time, rainmaker time. Okay, this is the part where most people are like, I gotta work. Okay, but this isn't just work. Because if you just work, you'll do all kinds of stuff, and most of your stuff is not meaningful work. Your job is to figure out what is the stuff that makes it rain. Like, what is the stuff that you do that actually brings profit into the business, and then only do that. This takes a bit of work. This is the real work of figuring out what is the 20% of your activities that generates the 80% of the profit in your business. So you need to figure that out. And the great news is it's going to take way less time than you think. When people I've had articles written about me on CNBC. I've talked to people and like, oh my gosh, I heard you make this amount of money and you work 5 hours a week. How's that possible? That's got to be a lie. It's because there's only about 5 hours max of true work that actually drives the whole business. The rest of it is nice to have, not needed, or it might be me building something new, or it's just busy work. But if I've discovered this, I didn't just magically come up with this. I just started to challenge everything I've been doing in my business every year and stripping things away. And I didn't get there all at once, but I went from 32 hours max. That's the most I've ever worked in my business per week. 32 hours a week, 4 days a week, 15 years ago, down to 5 by strategically just chipping away every year. Being like, do I really need to do this? Does this really make a difference? What happens if I stop doing this? What happens if I automate this with software or AI? What happens if I eliminate this or delegate this? So, rainmaker time. You do need to work to make money. So it's important. And then finally, you need reflection time. And this one, almost nobody does. Reflection time is like thinking time. It's the time where you look at your sales analytics and you reflect on, what is the data telling me? This is the time where you learn new things. You take a course, you're reading a book, you're watching a YouTube video about something you need to learn in your business. You're hiring a coach, or you're in a mastermind or community where you're learning. Like, it's not actively creating profit, but it's like receiving. It's like filling your cup up with wisdom and knowledge. It's also not just learning, but reflecting on the things you've learned. So journaling. I have copious notes I take in my notes app on my phone and the computer. They're synced. I journal my things in the notes. Like, I'll go to events and I'll learn, and then I'll reflect on what I learned and pull out the nuggets that are meaningful to me, the things I can really action on. And so the way I've baked this into my schedule is I do this on Mondays. My whole first day of the week, as I call it, my thinking day. I don't do any work. I don't produce. I think. So I read. I write, because writing is thinking to me. It's how I clarify my thoughts. I create thought leadership and ideas. I sit on my sofa and stare out at downtown Tampa, and I journal. I reread books. I re-listen to things. I clarify thoughts. Thinking time. So you need reflection time as well. Here's the beautiful thing. Recharge time, let's go back to all four, gives you energy. And you need energy in your business. Relationships time gives you support. You need to feel supported and connected. Rainmaker time gives you profit. We all need profit in our business. That's the whole point. And reflection time gives you insight. You get all four of those things baked into your week, however you want to chop it up. It doesn't matter to me. If you have those four components the way you want it, you have a dream week. This is a week that's sustainable. This is a week that's going to put money in your pocket and give you insight into how to leapfrog everybody else that's not thinking. They're just doing, like a monkey just banging a keyboard. Like, you're going to be thinking and having insight. You're going to be connected and supported by the people that love you. You're not going to be in isolation, just building a great business and then losing your spouse or your kids. And you're also not going to burn out because you're fueling yourself. And you're the number one asset in your business. Is like, if you burn out, you can't do the business. So those are elements of a dream week. And that's where I want to end with you today, my friend, is do you have a dream week? Have you designed a dream week? If you haven't, you need to do it ASAP and think about those four components. And then I want to know, if you're on YouTube and you're watching the video version, drop a comment. What's your takeaway? Do you live the laptop lifestyle? Do you work on vacation? Do you blend those two? Has that worked for you? Has it really worked for you? Push back. I mean, if you disagree with me and if you think you're thriving in that environment, I'd love to hear. Everyone has a different definition of balance, but my stake in the ground is that you can't fight your genetics. You can't fight human nature. You can't fight the way you were designed. And there's a way that seems like maybe it's working, but then there's a way where you truly are getting the rest and the productivity that you desire. And I think they need to be separate. So there you go. That's my take on this billionaire working on vacation article on CNBC. And Todd Graves, if you're watching, kudos to you for what you've built. I think you've got the right take, but love to hear your take as well. Have a great week. Thanks for enjoying this episode and this video, and we'll see you on another episode real soon.